Hello guys, last video we ended up creating this nice little cute web page powered by Bootstrap, and in this video, the very last one in the series, we're gonna create an infinite scroll using JQuery. So every time the user is scrolling down to the very end of the page, a new bunch of data should have been uploaded. So let's actually start implementing that. So I've just copied the previous project called Bootstrap. So if you just follow this tutorial, you can just simply go on appending some new code here. Otherwise, you can just download this from the link provided in the description below the video and actually start. So I'm now at the home.html file, the only HTML template that is used, and here we'll start implementing some JavaScript using jQuery. And remember that we did already import the jQuery the jQuery library, so now we can make use of it. So let's create a script, type text JavaScript, and close the script tag. Now what we actually need to do is to define a couple of variables to keep track of the window scroll. So the first variable, I'll create this current y, which would keep the current location of the scroll bar. Like if this is the scroll bar, so what's the current location? Of course not in the text editor, but in the browser instead. So for this purpose, we need to reference the window dot scroll top method like this, and let's actually print all this stuff to the console just to see how it actually works. So console log, let's call this current y, and current y like this. So just invoke my developer tools here and update the page. Okay, that's because they didn't yet start the server. Okay, so of course Python 3 app.py to start the server, from assuming that you're in the current working directory, of course, where the app.py file is available. So updating the page. Why is this so long? Okay, just hold on a second, guys. Okay, so now it's fine, but nothing actually changes regarding the current coordinate of the scroll bar, and that's because I just forget to enclose this part of code to scroll event listeners. So let's just say window.scroll, and okay, just scroll and call a function here. So I'm not that good at JavaScript, guys, so I personally learned this technique just yesterday, so I don't really remember by heart everything, so that's why I can make some mistakes here. Okay, so now you see that as far as you're scrolling the page, the value of the current y is being changed. So the next variable to add here would be window height. So window height, not sure how to pronounce that. Window height is equal window height like this. And also we want to say here window height variable itself. So let's quickly check this out as well. Okay, so the window height is still kind of the same. Okay, and okay, just hold on a sec. Okay, that's actually correct. So, and the very last but not least variable is document. Is the document height. Of course, I could have just simply print the code without diving that deep into the details, but you know, like when I personally mastered this technique, it was really cool to really dive into that and understand the logic behind how it actually works. For these are the very basics of the JavaScript, basically. And as far as I'm pretty new to JavaScript and JQuery in particular, this was really interesting. So I hope this would be interesting for you guys as well. So the very last but not least thing to consider is the document height. So as here I need to reference the document itself and the height of the document, and also print this one to the screen as well. So document height, not sure. Document. Okay, so now we have the document height of 4034, and this is fixed, and window height is also fixed. And at the very end, well, just my I gotta just put this away for a while. So here, if we just add this value and this one, that we would have actually having this one. So that's the particular logic of how to define whether you hit the very end of your scroll over here. So now we can simply say, so we don't really need this console log anymore. Well, I just command this for a while. So now we can say if current y plus window height. I know that's it's not really good. It's not the best ever way to name the variables in JavaScript, but I'm using this Python like variable names. I'm sorry for that, guys. Just I hope you forgive me that. So if this is equal to document height GHD. In this case, I just want to simply say alert out of page. So if we just don't really need the console anymore, basically, we just update the page and scroll down here, and when I hit the very bottom of the page, we see the end of page has been catched, listed. So okay, guys, you understand what has just happened. I'm sorry, just don't know how to say that. So this is sort of scroll to the bottom event listener here. So when the current y plus window height is equal to document height, that's when we want to that's the exact time when we need to upload a new bunch of data to render that to screen. So that's kind of it. So for now on, we just command this out as well. So we don't really need this sort of console login stuff anymore as well. And now let's actually define a function here that would be uploading some content, some new content for us. So I say function not uploading, of course, downloading. So download content, and this function would be taken two parameters. So the first one would be called index, and the second is limit. And this index and limit are exactly the same guys that we have been using here in our API. So remember, for those of you who didn't watch the entire series but started watching this only from this video, so if in our API would add some parameters like index and limit like this, that you will see that not all the data has been retrieved, but only from the index 0 and only the first 10 elements. If it just asked to retrieve the second 10 elements, in that case we have the second 10 elements and so on. So these two arguments would be exactly those that were passed into our download content function. So so that's what does the index and the limit stands for here. And now we actually need to make what is known as JQuery AJAX get request. So JQuery get, and here we need to specify the API link itself. So this is it, but actually just don't really want to specify the numbers hard-coded. Don't really need to hard-code the numbers, but instead we need to use this variables of index, and no need for this 10 anymore, and limit plus limit. And of course also we need to call a callback function here that would take a data as a parameter. I guess I don't really remember how this fancy way of defining JavaScript function is named. I grabbed this from Traverse Media crash courses and tutorial series. I really love how this looks like. Don't really remember how this is called, so just please forgive me that. Well, but that's kind of short way of definition of the function. So otherwise you could write this word function like this and have exactly the same result, but I personally really prefer this nice cute fancy way of doing things. So sorry, don't remember how that is called. So and now what we actually want to do here, I just want to console the log the data. So yeah, so just to make sure that the data has been downloaded. So also can we, well, basically, okay, we need, okay, so let's try to invoke this download content function on scrolling to the very bottom of the page. So I say download content, and let's just 0 and 10, just the hard-coded values for now, just to actually see whether it would fire or not. So I just invoke my developer tools one more time. Okay, and scroll back, so scroll down to the very bottom of the screen, and here we have our data. So data and exactly 10 elements. So this is exactly what we actually would love to have here. Okay, so so now actually let's okay, just hold a sec. Okay, so just before handling the infinite scroll itself, I just want to I want to debug the rendering part of the function itself. So I would just simply call this particular function from on document load, basically. So, and also instead of logging this to the console, I would like to append this data to the very parent div element. And in our case, let's just try to find what kind of element is this. So probably this card, or well, probably should be appended to the card body. So here I say the ID name equals to properties, and okay, properties, and now let's actually try to find this properties element by ID in jQuery using this hash symbol. So properties, okay, and using the append method to actually, yeah, to append something there. So first let's try to append some text and see whether that works or not. So just update the page. I just want to use the cached images instead of downloading them all the time. Okay, so here we have our text. It's not really seen that great, but that's appended. Okay, that's great. So now let's try basically to append data. I'll say the first element like this. Okay. Nothing happens for some reason. Well, I'm not sure exactly. Well, probably because that's some sort. Well, maybe I should have defined, say, title. Okay, so I just did append the title. Okay, and now the most interesting part here. So we now would need to generate this entire element within the jQuery script. So a single element is represented by this piece of code, and so let me actually try to grab this and just copy, and then so before appending everything here, so let's create a variable page equals, and I create a multi-line string here, so paste like this. Now I also need to handle the indentation a bit, so okay, and if I just simply try to append the page at the moment, well, I'm not sure whether that works or not. Let's just try that. So append page, save. Okay, so this is Ginger template renderer is trying to render this stuff. He doesn't know this is the JavaScript. Okay, so we need to get rid of every single element here. Okay, yeah, this is it. This is really so cool, because at the moment we did append actually exactly the same sort of a card. Great. And also we need to make this the number of times of the data length. So all this kind of code needs to be enclosed within the for loop. So I say for index is equal to 0, index is less than data dot length. Why data is typed twice here? Let me just explain you that in a moment. So the first data is the argument of the function, of the callback function, and the second data is this one. Let me just demonstrate it quickly. So the second data is this key here, this object. So we need to access this object, and this object has a length because of the type of a list. So that's kind of it. Even though it's not a Python but a JavaScript, in our case when we're using jQuery, still this is considered to be a list, so it has the length properties. The length property can be accessed via typing .length like this. So and also we need to increment the index after that, so like this and like this. So now I hope to see actually 10 elements below here. So okay, now we have 10 elements. This is really so cool. Okay, and now let's actually use the data that we have downloaded from our API. So starting from the index, starting from the title, let me just card header strong. Okay, so here would be the title. So I just break the string here and say data index.title, and I hope to see the titles at this moment. Okay, great. So now we have the titles added, and now exactly the same we want to do for all the rest of the elements on our page. So we kind of created the dynamic content, but this time not using the Jinja template renderer as we've been doing when the page was rendered from the server side, just from the backend. But here we're doing this dynamic rendering in the front end. And if you have some experience with front-end frameworks like Angular, I mean the very first Angular, that actually have ng4 tags and things like that, so you can do all this stuff in a more cute way from the code layout perspective. But this is the very gist of how you can do this using the pure JQuery. Well, it's a bit more better than the pure JavaScript, but I personally really like JQuery for its minimalism and flexibility. So let's actually continue this stuff. So now we need to make the same in the title. Okay, so here not the title. I'm sorry guys, it should have been address here, not the title. So and here we need to put the description. Okay, and here it's probably release date. Not sure how that call exactly, so I can just quickly check that out. Date, just the date simply. Okay, date, and the seller and the price apparently. Yeah, that's the price. Okay. Not sure. Over here apparently, yeah. So I have the price. And I hold my breath and update the page and hope to see, yeah, great. Now we see dynamically rendered elements here. So the last thing remaining here is just to add the images. So I can just paste image over here. So image. Okay, great. So now we have the images. So the first elements and the very last portion of elements here. Exactly the next 10 elements. Great. Okay. So basically now it's time to make this actually dynamic. So every time we would be calling our download content function over in here within the scroll event listener, and we need to update the index every time we hit the bottom of the page. So let's actually try to implement that. So just cut the function call and bring it back here. So we'll use the variables index and limit here, and at the very beginning of the document let's actually create those variables. So variable index would be equal to 10 because we're starting from the index number 10. That's important. And the limit would be fixed basically. Limit is equal to 10 as well. Save. And one more. Okay, so we've downloaded the content, and after that we want to increment the index plus equals 10. Well, and I hold my breath and I hope to see the infinite scroll working as expected. So okay, let's just scroll back scroll back here and update. Okay, so scrolling down, so the very last element we have is this one apparently. No, it's Maxim Gardens. Okay, scrolling down, and here we have a bunch of new elements appearing here. So this is really so cool. Okay. Okay, so here we have the dynamic page, the dynamic page rendering using the AJAX based infinite scroll. This can be improved in many ways, like after writing downloading content below, or adding some cute icons to show that the content has been downloaded, or automatically shifting this guy a bit up when we hit the very bottom of the page. But those all are the details that are not really that they're not necessary. So actually the very main thing that we actually can upload this pages dynamically. So I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial, guys. Well, at least I really did enjoy making this. And this is the very first experience of creating an infinite scroll page, and this is kind of sort of magic for me, to be honest. And I'm really so happy when I did that yesterday for the first time. I was so happy, like this is like in the real web applications, and this is so cool. Okay, so this is it, and I wish you all the best, and take care.